Speaker, whereas it is provided by Section 63(1)(a) of the Public Finance Management Act number 14 of 2020, the Act, that the Minister of Finance may, by an affirmative resolution of Parliament, borrow from a bank or other financial institution for the capital or current expenditure of government. And whereas it's further provided by Section 64 of the Act, that money borrowed by the government must be paid into and from part of the consolidated fund. And whereas the Minister of Finance considers it necessary to borrow an amount of $8 million from the International Development Association for the organization of the Eastern Caribbean States Data and Decision Making Project. And whereas the service charge is the greater of the sum of 3/4 of 1% per annum plus the basis adjustment to the service charge and 3/4 of 1% per annum on the withdrawn credit balance. And whereas the maximum commitment charge rate is 1/2 of 1% per annum on withdrawn financing balance. And whereas the loan is repayable in 40 years, commencing from the date of disbursement of the loan, inclusive of a grace period of 10 years. And whereas the principal amount of the loan is repayable on each 15th day of March and the 15th day of September each year, commencing with the following terms. 1% of the loan amount commencing on the 15th day of September 2022 and including the 15th day of March 2042. 2% of the loan amount commencing on the 15th day of September 2042 and including the 15th day of March 2062. Be resolved that Parliament authorizes the Minister for Finance to borrow an amount of $8 million from the International Development Association to finance the organization of Eastern Caribbean States Data for Decision-Making Project. Be it further resolved that the service charge is the greater of the sum of 3/4 of 1% per annum plus the basis adjustment to the service charge and 3/4 of 1% per annum on the withdrawn credit balance. The maximum commitment charge is 1/2 of 1% per annum on withdrawn financing balance. The loan is repayable in 40 years, commencing from the date of disbursement of the loan, inclusive of a great period of 10 years. The principal amount of the loan is repayable on each 15th day of March and 15th of September each year, commencing with the following terms. 1% of the loan amount commencing on the 15th of September 2032 and including the 15th day of March 2042, and 2% of the loan amount commencing on the 15th of September 2042 and including the 15th day of March 2062. Mr. Speaker, this loan is basically for the census. It's just a loan for us to fund the census, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, right now in policies, when you're creating policies, Mr. Speaker, it must be data. It's evidence-based. Decisions must be based on evidence, Mr. Speaker. And evidence must be truthful. And the data must be accurate, Mr. Speaker. And that is why we are as we speak, Mr. Speaker, there's a census going on, a population and housing census, Mr. Speaker. And this census, Mr. Speaker, is very wide-ranging. It covers both domestic, financial, and economic situations. And I'm very proud to tell you, Mr. Speaker, this is being run by St. Lucians, young St. Lucian professionals, and these St. Lucian professionals, Mr. Speaker, are doing a very, very good job, Mr. Speaker, young St. Lucian professionals. It also has a spill-off effect, Mr. Speaker, in that it has created employment for about 200 to 300 St. Lucians who are the enumerators, Mr. Speaker. They are benefiting from the data. They are benefiting, Mr. Speaker, from the census, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the project is being implemented by the Project Implementation Unit, the PIU, and it is, again, Mr. Speaker, as I said, it is being run by St. Lucian professionals, Mr. Speaker, and there is a spill-off effect in that the enumerators must be fed, they must be given transportation. There's a spill-off effect, Mr. Speaker. I think it is money well spent because the last census was a long time ago, and the information on the census is possibly, it may not be accurate for now because of the length of time in which the census was last done, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, we have absolutely no issues in asking this honorable House to endorse the funds to carry on a much-needed census. I thank you. I just want to respond to the member for Choiseul, Mr. Speaker. As I said, it's an OECS program, and he quite rightfully asked for complete transparency in how the $8 million will have been spent, Mr. Speaker. But I thought that the member for Choiseul would not want to be burdened by that detail at that time of the night. But since he wants to get the details, Mr. Speaker, I have nothing to claim for you on the thing. When I call you, it doesn't answer my phone. You're afraid. I can tell you, Mr. Speaker, the project comprises 5 components, Mr. Speaker. Component number 1, statistical modernization and capacity building. That will cost US $3.5 million. This component will support the modernization of the Central Statistical Office, CSO, by strengthening the institutional capacity and modernizing the statistical tools and processes utilized. This will enable the Central Statistical Office, the CSO, to fulfill its mission of improving access to and use of developmental statistics to inform policies and growth, evidence-based, as the member for Labi says. Component number 2, data collection, analysis, and dissemination, $3.7 million. This component will support the production of core data products central to the statistical system and some supplemental data to fill other key data gaps identified by St. Lucia. Remember, I was talking about the data gaps. Under this component, the project will finance the 2022 population and housing census from its preparation to dissemination, including hiring and training of enumerators, outreach and sensitization campaigns, technical assistance in the analysis and production of census reports, and dissemination of final products. The census operation will also benefit from the procurement of information technology equipment for data collection, mapping, and geospatial analysis. Component number 3, OECS regional integration. The members spoke about it, zero cost to the government of St. Lucia. This component, for which funding will be disbursed to the OECS, contributes to the OECS Commission's mandate for regional integration and strengthening of the regional statistical system. Improving the availability of comparable data among member states will help inform regional policies affecting the OECS. Component number 4, project implementation, $0.8 million. This component will support the project implementation unit, the PIU in St. Lucia, covering the hiring of PIU staff, recruitment of consultants on a needs basis, audits, equipment, including laptops for hired PIU staff, and operating costs. Component number 5, contingency emergency response. The zero-cost component aims to provide immediate surge funding in the event of an eligible national emergency. The CRC is only triggered in the case of a public emergency when certain actions as agreed by the government and the World Bank are met. These actions can include a situation where the country declares a national emergency and presents a sound and actionable country-level response plan. Member for Choiseul, that is how the $8 million will be spent. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.